So, yes, Pedro Himenez and Daisy Link were in a long-term relationship together. They had 2 kids in common together, a boy and a girl. At the time of Mr. Himenez's death, the boy was 7 years old, and the girl was 5 years old. As you heard from the state, they were together for a pretty long time, and you're probably going to hear there are going to be a lot of things that myself and the state don't agree on, but we can all agree that this is a very toxic relationship. And in the days leading up to Mr. Himenez's death, the relationship took a significant turn for the worst. What do I mean by that? 5 days before Mr. Himenez's death, he showed up unannounced to Daisy Link's home. And to be clear, the evidence will show it was her home. He didn't live there anymore. He was removed from the lease. The locks were changed. He was not allowed in there unless he was specifically invited. And yes, he would be invited because they had kids together, and Miss Link was gracious enough to let him see those kids, even though he didn't have a right to be with them because he lost his parental rights to those kids. Now, he showed up unannounced 5 days before, and Miss Link had some guests in her home. She was in her home with her 2 kids, and she had her cousin with her cousin whose name is David, and he had his kids with him too. Mr. Himenez showed up unannounced, and immediately he accused Miss Link of cheating on him, even though they weren't together anymore, cheating on him with this man who he saw in her house. Mr. Himenez was informed, hey, I'm not cheating, that's my cousin, and I'm not sleeping with my cousin. He's just here because he's family. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, Mr. Himenez did not accept that explanation, and he physically attacked their cousin David, and he physically attacked Miss Link. Now, when I say physically attacked, I'm not talking about a love attack. I mean, he grabbed her, he took a firearm, and he pistol whipped her with this firearm. He essentially split her head wide open. He left multiple lacerations on her head, and that caused spilling of a lot of blood. This blood's already dry, but you can imagine how much blood that was. He caused her to lose consciousness. I'm not just saying this, he very easily could have killed her. And he did it in front of his 2 kids. And he didn't stop until his 7-year-old son said, Papi, Papi, please stop. Papi, please stop. So at that point, as toxic as this relationship was, as I mentioned, it took a drastic turn for the worse. And that event, which happened 5 days prior to Mr. Himenez's death, created a chain of events. And what is that chain of events? This is it. It's over. Daisy Link made a decision. Her family made a decision. Her family came from Texas, came down here for 2 reasons. One, to be with her, to take care of her after she had this unfortunate attack happen to her, and to prepare for her and the kids to leave the state. And that is what was going to happen. That's exactly what was going to happen. Now, did Miss Link do everything perfectly? No. With the benefit of hindsight, could things have been handled differently? Yes. Should Miss Link have decided to not have any contact with Mr. Himenez from that point on? Yeah, she probably should have, and she didn't. She did have contact with him, and yes, you will see that on the day that Mr. Himenez lost his life, she did pick him up and bring him. She brought him to see the kids, because as you will hear, she was going to leave, and she wasn't coming back. And no, Mr. Himenez did not live there. That was not his home at that point anymore, because, as I mentioned, he wasn't on the lease anymore. The locks had been changed, and he had just almost killed her a couple of days before. So no. And what you will see that Mr. Himenez, before the shooting, you'll see him running back and forth. You'll even see Miss Link come outside and yell at him, asking him to leave, and him running away. And you'll see on the video him coming back and forth, back and forth. And What you will also hear is that when this is happening right before he gets shot, you'll hear from the medical examiner that he was whacked out of his mind on cocaine. I'm not just talking about a little cocaine. You'll hear from the medical examiner. This man took so much cocaine that the cocaine alone could have killed him. That's how much cocaine he used. And the state told you that he was in fear for his life immediately before he got shot. Well, that's not what the evidence is going to show. And you're going to see it and you're going to hear it for yourself. Immediately before he got shot, he told Miss Link in a guttural, visceral scream, "I want to die. I'm ready to die." So she asked him to leave. She did everything she could to get him to leave. She did everything she could to get away from this man who, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to trample on anybody's grave, but the evidence will show this man was out of control. He was unhinged and he was dangerous. And she fired a shot to get him to go away from her, to go away from her home, which was locked, which she was not allowed inside of, where her kids were sleeping inside. She did not want him barricading himself in that home and doing something, God knows what. We already know what he was capable of from just a couple of days before. So Miss Link gave him every opportunity to leave a place which was not his home. He did not have a right to be here. It was her home that she was protecting, which she had the right to do. He didn't have a right to be there. She did. She asked him to leave. She did everything possible. He screamed at her. He made it clear to her that I don't care what you do. I'm ready to die. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to do what I want. And that's when she fired. And she wasn't even firing trying to hurt him. She wasn't firing trying to kill him. She shot at the floor. And just so happens that this bullet, and this is going to be the strangest one-shot killing that you'll ever see. This bullet went up through his heel. And somehow it exited his foot and then went into his leg, and somehow that ended up killing him. So this was an extremely unusual trajectory from a bullet that you will see. So clearly she didn't intend to kill him, even though, and I will submit to you, the evidence will show she had every right and she was completely justified in using deadly force at that moment. And you will know that because later on, you're going to hear the instructions on the law from the judge, and those instructions will spell out to you, and you will see clearly that she was justified in her use of force in that specific situation. But she wasn't even trying to kill him. She wanted him to leave. She did everything she could to get him to leave before she fired that shot. And ladies and gentlemen, the evidence will show she fired that shot because she had no choice. And under this scenario and under those facts, that means she's not guilty, because it's not a crime to defend yourself when you have a reasonable fear of death or great bodily harm to yourself, to another, or from somebody committing a forcible felony against you imminently, which all those things she was in danger of in that minute. So when I come back at the end of this trial, I'm going to ask you to find her not guilty, and that is the correct verdict. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. First witness state.
Yes, so at this time, City Hall, Pedro Himenez is standing.